Oh, how the world could use a little bit more love and forgiveness. It's a gift to all of us. Hey, it's Elizabeth Morosco with Kudos Magazine, coming on here today just to share a heartfelt message and maybe to inspire some happiness in your life. And it starts with us taking the time to really find pleasure, truth, and authenticity in the way that we live in each given moment. And I think one of the gifts when you go through a series of maybe struggles or difficulties, whether through death or financial crisis or a personal crisis or fill in the blank, we can get caught into these different storms where we feel like we don't know where we're at. And often these storms, sometimes we'll have forewarning that a storm's in the horizon, but sometimes it can happen unexpectedly, unforeseen, for no reason. And being in a position of having some things in place to create stability can help make enduring that moment a little bit easier. And it does not mean to say by any means it takes away the difficulty or the struggle that you have to go through, but it can make things easier for coping and to survive and to get through it. And through several of the podcasts and articles that we've written in the magazine and on our blog post and shared on video, we often talk to you about the value of journaling, meditating, and taking the time to do self-care and self-love. By doing these things, it creates this foundation and pillar for you to be able to have strength to be able to get through these difficult moments. And it's challenging when you're going through it. Often I compare it to, in my mind, where you're looking at a room and it's empty, everything's fine. But then when you take the room and you fill it with furniture and all these other things, it becomes more full, and you have to walk through that room in a different maneuver so that you're not knocking over tables or chairs, compared to if you're figuratively not in that room and you can just dance around like it's, remember that scene in Risky Business where he goes flying through the room half naked with his white shirt on and his sunglasses and just sliding about. When things happen in life, metaphorically, these difficulties or these struggles happen, it just pops up. You've got to find ways to maneuver through it. And taking the time to prepare ahead of time can help. And, a lot of people even turn to things like their faith and going to church or reading their Bible or leaning into self-help groups, and whether that's online or in person, doing positive personal development classes or reading books. Those are things that can help. And it's part of becoming an adult, and maturing and finding resources to help you navigate those waters. So it's not, like a rough scene from, what was it show? Jerry Springer. I think that was his name, right? Jerry Springer, yeah. Yeah, you don't want that in your life. So things are going to happen. We're always going to have different things that happen. And it's part of the growing process, because often that's where you'll find during difficulties, you'll find that's where you start having more growth and you become stronger in some ways. And that old cliche, that which doesn't kill you makes you stronger, it's true, but sometimes it's like, enough's enough. And I think part of this came to mind to talk about this today because I'm witnessing a lot of friends that are going through their different version of a difficult time. And some of them are, it's just coming up unexpectedly. Today I have a dear friend whose business, she was getting ready for an event today, and she posted about prepping for it. And then 30 minutes later, she was posting, pray for us because our building's on fire. And fortunately, she did post they're fine, everybody's safe. But I don't know how detailed that will turn out. But that was like a shift in one moment of how things can happen. I also recently there was a friend that celebrated the anniversary of his partner's death. And that was something that happened unexpectedly. It was actually somebody that I went to college with who moved to the same community that I was at, which it was odd because neither one of us were originally from here. But he was my age, and then he dropped out of a heart attack. So life can happen really quickly, and it's important to make sure that you're taking the time to seize these fleeting moments, whether it is for going after your own personal goals or for setting the record straight, going to bed with peace in your heart and not being angry, not leaving a situation bad, doing the best that you can do and bringing your best to the table, because life does fly by in a minute. So there's no insurance of anybody having a tomorrow. So I guess the point is to remember to love more, forgive more, share more hope, and share your gifts with this world, because there's not going to be another you. And in each of us, we have our own gifts and our own talents, and they can come out in different ways. But while you're here, this is the time for you to be sharing that with the world in whatever capacity that you can. In your world, it doesn't have to be, like in terms of like the global world. It could be just in your little corner of the world, in your home, with your family, of doing what you can do to make things right. It could be going to the store and you're friendly with the cashier and shining some hope for her. She may be going through a difficult time of having, a loved one that's maybe dying. So when we take accountability for the little things that we do to nurture ourselves personally, then eventually being able to have strength and share positivity with other people, it's how we can create positive change and create a strength that can help us endure, during those hard times. And for me, I've found a lot of strength in prayer, because there's sometimes that some difficulties are so big, it can be hard to utter the right word or to frame the right sentence. And it does go away for people that are there or that do get there. You need to know that it's temporary. It can't go away, but it does take time and effort. So if you're not there, I hope that you do start to do some of the planning to create sort of this safety net, so that when difficult times pop up, we're prepared. We often talk about having a emergency savings account, right? Make sure that you have a little bit of money on the side in case your car breaks down or, you have an incident, you've got to get a tooth fixed, or who knows what might happen. Got that little savings account. But we really don't talk about creating this savings account for personal development. And that even includes like who is in your inner circle of friends and people that you associate with. Are they able to lift you up in a positive way when you're going through that hard time? And sometimes you may have to endure things on your own because you may not even have an inner circle. And that's when, you got to realize you're never alone. God's always there. You don't have to do this on your own. But having that ability to create something, so as it happens, those hard times, you're able to endure, persevere, and then come back and help other people. That's the goodness in you that you can give to other people. So I hope you did get something out of this little message today. The big thing I just hope that you have is hope, because that is what can make a difference in all of our lives, in all of our communities, and around the whole world, is when we have hope and a willingness to share and prepare. So if you haven't, if you could go check us out on Instagram and on Facebook, you can find us at Kudos Magazine. And we are also over at YouTube if you want to watch videos. And that's at Cup of Kudos. In the meantime, I wish you much good health, happiness, and an absolutely beautiful day. Take care, guys.